I should have known something was off the second I walked into the restaurant. Laughter echoed from the back corner, spilling into the entryway like the kind of joy that I'd always felt, foreign when it came to my family. A long table stretched down the center of the private room, dressed in candles, flowers, and gold-rimmed plates. At the head of it all was a giant white banner. "Congratulations, Chloe." I froze. Just for a second. Then my jaw tightened. The entire extended family was there, my parents, aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in years. And right in the middle of it all sat my younger sister, Chloe, glowing in a cream-colored dress, holding court like she was some kind of hometown celebrity. No one had mentioned what we were celebrating. My mom had just said, "It would mean a lot if you came." I scanned the table. Every single seat was taken. I stepped forward anyway, smiling the way you do when you're trying not to fall apart. Chloe looked up, her smile curving into something cruel. "Oh," she said, voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "I didn't know you were coming." I glanced at my mom. She shifted in her seat, avoiding eye contact. My dad just stared at his napkin like it might save him. "I mean," Chloe added with a fake laugh, "this is for family." She tilted her head toward the table, where no chair sat waiting for me. My cousin chuckled into his wine. My aunt looked away. I didn't say a word. I just turned around and walked out, back through the lobby, past the host who smiled too brightly, and out into the cold night, where at least the silence didn't lie to me. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our story. If this story touched your heart, please comment one below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it too. Wishing you a wonderful day. Now, let's dive into this powerful story together. Growing up, I used to tell myself it wasn't favoritism, it was just circumstance. Maybe Chloe needed more attention. Maybe I was just more independent. I tried to believe that, for a while. But deep down, I always knew. From the moment she could talk, Chloe had the spotlight. She was the sparkle, the gift, the one who just lit up a room. Every drawing she taped to the fridge got a round of applause. Every B- on a spelling test came with a reward. Meanwhile, I got a quiet good job and a pat on the back, if I was lucky. The truth was, I didn't sparkle. I just existed. And no one claps for existence. The first time I made straight A's in middle school, I brought my report card to the dinner table like I was holding a golden ticket. My dad glanced at it, nodded, and went back to his casserole. 2 days later, Chloe landed the lead in the school play, even though she couldn't memorize half her lines, and the whole family took her out for ice cream. My mom called it a milestone. I called it Tuesday. When I got a full scholarship to college, they said, "That's nice, honey," before shifting back to Chloe's weekend trip to Napa with her friends. She had just posted a picture of herself on a wine train, and somehow, that mattered more than me getting into one of the best universities in the state. They never offered to help me move. No care package. No teary goodbye. Just a brief wave in the driveway and a reminder to call home sometimes. Meanwhile, Chloe's move into a modest apartment across town came with furniture shopping, meal prep, and a group chat to check in daily. They paid her first and last month's rent. I took out a loan to cover mine. By the time I graduated, I had 3 part-time jobs under my belt, student debt hanging over my head, and no one there at the ceremony to watch me walk the stage. Chloe missed it because she had a spa appointment. My parents sent me a text that afternoon. "Congrats, kiddo. Hope it went well." I didn't respond. When I landed my first real job in tech, I treated myself to a quiet dinner and a used coffee maker I'd been eyeing. Chloe got a job as a receptionist and my parents threw her a dinner party. Balloons. Cake. Champagne. "She's really going places," my mom said that night. I remember thinking, where do you think I've been? Still, I kept showing up. Birthdays. Holidays. The occasional family dinner. I don't know what I was chasing exactly, approval, maybe. Or some small sign that they saw me. that I mattered as much as she did. Every time the phone rang, every time my mom texted, "We'd love to see you," a small part of me lit up like maybe, just maybe, things would be different this time. So when they invited me to that dinner, I wanted to believe. Maybe it was for me. Maybe they finally saw what I'd built. How far I'd come. I pressed my best shirt, showed up 5 minutes early, and even picked up a bottle of wine on the way. But walking into that restaurant, seeing that banner, hearing her laugh, I realized something that hurt more than anything I'd felt growing up. I was never part of the plan. I was just the backup. The one they called when they needed a body. Or a checkbook. And that night? They didn't even need that. The restaurant was one of those upscale spots in Bellevue with dim lighting, white linens, and servers in black ties gliding between tables like stagehands in a theater. The back room buzzed with laughter, forks clinking against porcelain, and the faint hum of jazz in the background. A long banquet table stretched across the room, packed with people, extended family, old neighbors, even Chloe's college roommate. Silver balloons bobbed at each end, and in the center hung a white and gold banner with looping script. "Congratulations, Chloe, assistant manager." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a family dinner. It was a full-blown celebration. For Chloe. Again. I stood there, frozen for a beat, wine bottle still in hand. And just as I stepped closer, trying to keep my expression neutral, Chloe turned in her seat. Her voice was syrupy sweet, loud enough to cut through the conversation. "Oh," she said with a faux surprised smile. "Didn't know you were coming." Someone chuckled. My uncle, maybe. My aunt looked up briefly, then went back to her cocktail shrimp. Chloe's eyes drifted to the table, then back to me. "I mean, this is for family." She didn't have to emphasize the word, but she did. The smile she wore wasn't warm. It was sharp, like she wanted to see if I'd flinch. I glanced at my mom. Patricia busied herself straightening a napkin that didn't need fixing. My dad, Frank, just stared into his wine glass, swirling it like it held some kind of answer. Neither of them said a word. Not even a simple "pull up a chair." That was the part that hurt most. Not Chloe's digs, I expected those. But the silence. The kind that had followed me through every science fair, every graduation, every quiet dinner I'd spent alone while they helped Chloe get on her feet. I could have made a scene. I could have called them out right then and there. But I didn't. Instead, I nodded once. Took one long breath. Turned around. And walked out the same way I came in, quietly, without a single soul trying to stop me. Out the door, past the host who gave me a sympathetic smile I didn't return, and into the cold night air where the silence, at least, was honest. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. I sat at my kitchen counter, fingers wrapped around a mug of coffee gone cold, phone face down beside me. A part of me still hoped I'd hear from them, maybe a text, maybe a voicemail. Something that sounded like remorse. Something that sounded like they noticed I left. Instead, I got a knock on the door. I opened it to find Patricia and Frank standing there, my mother wringing her hands, my father looking like he hadn't slept. For a second, I actually thought they were here to apologize. Maybe the years of disappointment had finally caught up to them. Maybe they had seen the cruelty of what happened the night before and realized they'd crossed a line. But no. "We need a favor," my mom started, voice soft like she was easing into a negotiation. I didn't respond. Just stepped aside and let them in. They walked into the living room like they owned the place, my dad lingering by the bookshelf, my mom perching on the edge of the couch like she couldn't decide if she was the victim or the one in control. "It's about last night," she said, smoothing out her blouse. I waited. "The dinner," she continued. "The bill ended up being more than we expected." "How much?" I asked, already bracing for the absurd. $1,300, she said, then quickly added, "But we're not asking you to cover the whole thing. Just a few hundred. You're doing well, and, well," she trailed off, glancing at my father. "You didn't really contribute in any other way," he added with a shrug. I stared at them, stunned. You didn't save me a seat. And now you want me to pay for the dinner I wasn't welcome at. You're being dramatic, my mom snapped, then softened. We're just saying, we covered so much for Chloe over the years. Her tuition, her rent. You never needed anything. So maybe now it's your turn. My mouth went dry. My turn? You have more than she does, my dad said plainly. It's only fair. And that was it. That was the moment I felt something snap inside me. I put myself through school while you bought Chloe a condo, I said, my voice cold. I worked nights. Took out loans. Graduated alone because no one showed up. But she gets an entry-level promotion and suddenly it's let's throw a party with steak and champagne. They shifted uncomfortably, but I wasn't done. You didn't think I was worth celebrating. Not when I got the scholarship. Not when I landed my first job. Not even when I bought my first place. But now that you're holding the check, now I'm family again? They were silent. Not shocked. Just embarrassed they'd been called out. I stood still for a moment, then said what I should have said years ago. I'm not your backup plan. And I'm not your ATM. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. Texts. Missed calls. Social media notifications piling up like a digital avalanche. My stomach dropped. I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't said a word. But something was happening. And then I saw it. Patricia had posted a long, carefully worded message on Facebook, public, of course. It started off soft, sugar-coated with faux heartbreak. Sometimes, as parents, we give and give, only to be met with coldness and disrespect. Last night, we celebrated a big moment for our daughter Chloe, such a joy. But our son, who was once so full of promise, stormed out, made a scene, and refused to support the family when we needed him most. It breaks our hearts. She included a photo from the dinner. Everyone smiling. My empty seat not even in the frame. The comments came fast. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years chimed in with judgmental takes. Wow, that's awful. How can someone treat their own parents that way? You raised Chloe so well. Some kids just grow up selfish. Even Chloe left a comment, you've always put up with more than you should, Mom. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I sat at the kitchen table, scrolling, heart pounding, not from anger, but from something worse. Shame. Betrayal. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because they'd managed to twist the truth so thoroughly that people were rallying behind them. They painted me as some ungrateful, bitter man who couldn't handle his sister's success. And no one, not one person, thought to ask for my side. I didn't respond. Not immediately. I put the phone face down. Got up. Poured myself some water. The walls felt smaller than usual. The air heavier. Every part of me wanted to scream, to rip into them, to expose every fake smile, every backhanded compliment, every year of being treated like an afterthought. But I didn't. Instead, I sat back down in the quiet. Let the chaos unfold without me. Because I knew something they didn't. They thought I'd stay quiet. They thought I'd take it. They forgot that silence is only powerful until the wrong person breaks it. I gave it a full day. 24 hours of watching my name get dragged through digital mud while everyone who knew better stayed conveniently silent. But something inside me shifted, maybe it was clarity, maybe it was just enough. Either way, I opened my laptop, logged in, and started typing. I didn't yell. I didn't insult. I told the truth. Since my family has decided to publicly paint me as the villain, I think it's time I set the record straight. I wasn't going to say anything, but after waking up to dozens of messages calling me selfish, I realized something. I've spent years protecting people who never once protected me. Let's talk about what really happened. I was invited to what I was told was a small family dinner. No details. Just it would mean a lot if you came. When I showed up, it turned out to be a full celebration for my sister's promotion. A banner, decorations, packed tables. No chair for me. Not even a plate. When I stood there, awkward and confused, I was told, loudly, "This is for family." So I left. Quietly. No shouting. No scene. The next morning, my parents showed up, not to apologize, but to ask me to pay the $1,300 bill. They said, and I quote, "You didn't contribute in any other way." Now, they're online calling me heartless. All because I finally said no. If standing up for myself makes me the bad guy, so be it. But don't mistake silence for guilt. Sometimes silence is just survival. I hit post and closed the browser. It didn't take long. First came the private messages. "My cousin Liana, I remember your graduation. They left early to make Chloe's hair appointment. I never forgot that. My mom's own sister, Aunt Rachel, you were always the quiet one. I thought they favored Chloe, but this explains so much." Even my high school friend Josh chimed in, "Dude, I saw that post from your mom. It felt off. Glad you said something." Then came the comments. Not hundreds, but enough. People started sharing their own stories. The cousin who was always left out of vacations. The niece who was told she was too sensitive for noticing how her brother got all the praise. The quiet voices found each other. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. Chloe tried, of course. She posted a response on her Instagram story, something vague and overly polished. It's hard when people twist things because they're hurt. "I love my brother, but this isn't the way to heal." But no one was buying it. In fact, someone screenshotted her comment from Mom's post and put the two side by side. "You've always put up with more than you should, Mom." Versus, "I love my brother." The hypocrisy was right there, plain as day. The likes on her post were half what they used to be. The comments were off. The image they'd spent years perfecting, of the happy, close-knit family, had cracked. And I didn't even have to scream to break it. I just had to finally tell the truth. The voicemail came in just after midnight. I didn't recognize the number at first. Chloe must have used a different phone. I almost didn't play it. Almost. But curiosity got the better of me. I tapped play and leaned back. Her voice came through, brittle and sharp beneath the fake sweetness she usually reserved for the public. "Wow, Ethan. Seriously? You just had to post that garbage? Mom and Dad are freaking out. You embarrassed them. You made me look bad. Do you have any idea what you've done? We needed you to be at that dinner, okay? You weren't supposed to cause drama, you were supposed to sit there and do your part. But no, you just had to make it about yourself." Again. There it was. No pretending. No veiled jabs. Just the raw truth buried in her frustration. I wasn't invited because they missed me. I wasn't wanted. I was bait. A financial failsafe they hoped wouldn't ask too many questions. She continued, more agitated now. "And thanks to your little pity party, Mom and Dad backed out of co-signing for my condo. It was supposed to close next week. Now it's on hold, and the seller's threatening to relist. So yeah, congrats, you ruined that too. Hope it was worth it." That was the moment everything slid into place. All those years of being overlooked, tolerated, dismissed, they weren't accidents. I was only remembered when it was convenient. When something needed fixing. Funding. Covering. I wasn't the son. I was the backup plan. The contingency fund. A walking wallet and a pressed shirt. And the worst part? They thought I wouldn't notice. I sat there for a while after the message ended, staring out the dark window. Not angry. Not even hurt. Just quiet. Like all the noise had finally drained out of me. There's a kind of pain that burns. Then there's the kind that hollows you out, slowly, surgically, until there's nothing left to grieve because the loss happened years ago. You just didn't want to admit it. This wasn't the moment they betrayed me. It was just the moment they stopped pretending they hadn't. I didn't plan some grand finale. No dramatic monologue. No inbox clearing rant. Just one final post, short, sharp, and undeniable. You didn't forget to save me a seat. You never saw me as part of the family to begin with. I won't beg for space at a table that was never built for me. You can keep it. I'm building my own. No hashtags. No photos. Just truth. And then I logged out. I blocked all of them, Patricia, Frank, Chloe, every cousin who left a snide comment or hit like on their lies. Each block felt like peeling off a layer of something heavy I didn't know I was carrying. There was no joy in it. Just space. Space to breathe. It wasn't easy. It wasn't clean. But it was necessary. Then came the physical part. The quiet ritual of letting go. I changed my number. Canceled the shared cloud album that still had old birthday photos, most of which I wasn't in anyway. I opened the family group chat for the last time, saw my last message from months ago, still unanswered, and deleted it. I stood in front of my bookshelf, hand hovering over the framed photo of the four of us at Chloe's graduation. I flipped it face down. That felt like enough. There's no guidebook for cutting off your own blood. No checklist for when it's time to stop trying. But in that still, strange silence afterward, I didn't feel regret. I felt peace. Looking back, I realize it was never just about one dinner. Or one moment. It was years of quiet conditioning, where love was measured, meted out based on convenience or favoritism. Where being good wasn't enough if you weren't the chosen one. And the chosen one could do no wrong, no matter how little she gave. That kind of imbalance doesn't just create distance, it distorts your understanding of what love should feel like. You start thinking you have to earn it. Perform for it. Apologize for wanting it. But love shouldn't come with conditions. Especially not from your parents. If I ever have a child of my own, I swear they'll never have to wonder where they stand. They'll never have to perform to be seen, or compete to be heard. They'll know they belong, not because they earned a seat at the table, but because the table was built with them in mind. I'll celebrate their quiet victories and show up for their hard days, not just the ones that look good on Instagram. I'll do the work to unlearn everything that was passed down to me, so they don't inherit this ache. And yeah, the ache is still there sometimes. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But for the first time in my life, it doesn't define me. The silence is different now. It isn't cold or empty. It's clean. It's calm. It's mine. What would you have done if you were me? Would you have swallowed your pride, opened your wallet, and paid the bill, just to keep the peace? To avoid the drama, the guilt, the fallout? Or would you have finally stood up, walked away, and chosen yourself, for once, over the people who only remembered you when it was convenient? We're taught that family is everything. But what happens when that family never chose you back? I'm not here to tell you what the right answer is. But I know what my answer had to be. Because family doesn't always mean belonging. It should never be something you have to audition for. If love is real, it doesn't need conditions, performances, or invoices. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop knocking on a door that was never going to open. Sometimes, you build your own table. One with warmth. With safety. With people who clap when you win and sit with you when you lose. A table where nobody questions whether you deserve to be there. And if you're someone who's still waiting on that seat, still begging to be noticed, still shrinking yourself just to be tolerated, hear me now. You deserve more than scraps. You are not selfish for walking away from people who only come around when they need something. You are not cruel for protecting your peace. You are not wrong for saying, this is where it ends. You're just finally setting the table for yourself. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this story spoke to something inside you. Because chances are, someone out there needs to hear it too, someone sitting quietly at the edge of their own family table, wondering if they're the only one feeling invisible. Let them know they're not alone. By sharing these stories, we're not just venting. We're reclaiming space. We're reminding each other that walking away from toxic love isn't weakness, it's clarity. And healing? That starts with truth. Together, we can create a space where dignity isn't conditional, where kindness doesn't have a price tag, and where being seen isn't something you have to fight for. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves, and of each other.